Hey everybody, it's Johan here with Farm Ecosystems. I hope you're doing well. I know I haven't done a video in a very long time. I've just been a little distracted and preoccupied with COVID, etc. But I wanted to do a video to get you updated on what's been happening in the greenhouse, to some degree at least anyway. This might be a longer video, so I'm going to try to stick with what I wanted to talk about most first. But I'm going to go through the greenhouse so I can just keep you posted on more of it. So as I go through the greenhouse, I'll be talking about things, but there's one thing in particular that I wanted to talk about most, and that's the aphid infestation. So I'm going to bring that up first, and then hopefully I can get that out of the way. And then I'm going to go through the greenhouse and just talk about a few other things, okay? So, like I was saying, we did end up having an aphid infestation in about November is when it started, which is surprising. It's almost a year since the greenhouse had been put up and started running. So November was a little bit long. Anyway, that is when it happened. And because we're trying to be as hands-off in the greenhouse as possible, in other words, we want to do as little bit of work as possible, like why not? We decided to approach it in as natural of a way as possible. And by that I mean we wanted to let nature do or control the aphids instead of us having to do it with pesticides and manually removing them. So the first thing I noticed when the aphids happened, was that they were going after pepper plants that were about this age. Okay, they weren't going after the old ones, the big ones that we have, but they started going after these, and we had a lot of these at first. And because there were so many, I didn't want to take out all of the pepper plants because we wanted to leave some so that we could leave a food source, that being the aphids. The aphids were the food source for the beneficial bugs that I knew were already in the greenhouse, like spiders, for example, okay? So if we left more aphids in the greenhouse, the spiders could multiply and they could take care of the aphid problem for us or control it. But because there were so many pepper plants that were covered in aphids, I got rid of a good portion of them so that they wouldn't overtake the greenhouse entirely and throw the systems out of balance. And by systems, I mean the bacterial and enzyme cultures that we had developed in the aquaponic system. So we left some sacrificial peppers, and then we left all of the plants that weren't being attacked at the time by aphids. And this is one of the sacrificial pepper plants, and as you can see, it took a fair bit of damage from the aphids, and now is actually finally starting to turn out some healthy leaves again. So as you can see, there are, well, you can't really see any aphids on it anymore on this one. Oh, there's one or two eggs, but they're starting to leave the new leaves alone, which is a good sign. So we didn't do anything other than let them exist so that beneficial bugs could multiply as well. And as you can see, like, you can't actually see much of the beneficial bugs except for here's a spider web right there. And we leave them, okay? There's not a ton, they're not in the way, they're not bothering us any. There can't be that many of them, otherwise they'd kill themselves also. But they are here and there. There's a spider web, like here's one also. Don't know if you can see it. There's the spider itself, actually. It's kind of hard to see, but they are in here. And then there's a couple other bugs that are beneficial. And as you can see, right now we're actually doing very well again. Lettuce and things like that are usually a favorite for aphids, and the lettuce are doing exceptionally well, actually. They need to be harvested, and I'm going to do that right after I take this video. Yeah, so that's how we decided to deal with the aphids. We left a good amount of food source for them, and by that I mean plants that were being overtaken by aphids, so that the beneficial bugs could multiply. And now we have those bugs, and now we don't have to use pesticides or manually remove them ourselves. Okay? Yeah. And that's a nice bed of lettuce. And then there's some strains of garlic in here. Actually, there's a guy that has a garlic condiments company asked us to grow a couple different strains of garlic in here just to see how they turn out, and I'm sure they'll do very well. It's just garlic takes like 9 months to grow. So we just put them here and there throughout the greenhouse, different parts of the growing systems, because different parts are going to treat the garlic in different ways without getting into that too much. Okay, so coming over here, the owner of the greenhouse actually ended up just throwing an avocado pit in here just to see what would happen. And it is actually growing. And I may at some point actually build out a system specifically for this avocado tree and try to find a spot for it to actually grow to the point of production. We'll see what happens with it, but for now I'm just a little undecided what to do with it. Here's some more lettuce, radish. These plants are the ones taking place of the random peppers that we took out, the peppers that we had to take out because there were too many. We decided we did need to plant something so that we could keep the balance in the system, and by that again I mean nitrates, nitrites, enzymes, bacteria, beneficials. Here's actually a pepper plant that had problems when it was young with the aphids, but as you can see now, it's slightly deformed. And this pepper down there is slightly deformed, but this is also a little bit due to a calcium issue. This is not just due to the aphids, but the new leaves, as you can see, and the flowers in particular, are doing well again. There's no aphid problem on the flowers, and that is where they were focusing for the most part. And here's some radish, more radish. Here's a radish that didn't make it. Looks like it just got too much sun, maybe got put here too early. And then our tomatoes, which we've decided, so as you can see, it's just a long vine. So we pick the tomato, let it grow, pick the tomato, let it grow, and then we have it growing up into the rafters actually, and we're just going to keep letting it stretch across the rafters and then pick the tomatoes as we go. Okay, and then down here we have our younger plants and some of our plants that don't like as much sun. For example, our kale down here, this is a young kale, which I think this spot in the greenhouse gets enough sun that it could probably stay here. But this lettuce, yeah, like as you can see, we have a supplemental light down here also to help these lettuce down here get more light. There's some more kale, more lettuce. This one's not getting what it needs, so this is a good spot actually for a younger plant. And then once it's doing well, we bring it up into more sunlight depending on which plant it is. And then here we have more lettuce. Looks like cauliflower, and a lot more garlic, some more radish, and here's a zucchini plant, which is, I'm not actually sure how old this one is. It might be like 4 months or something like that, but as you can see, if you just leave it in the greenhouse, it's put out a ton of zucchini that did not get pollinated properly. Well, because of time, like they're fairly specific on time when you can pollinate a zucchini. So I'm only here once a week to do maintenance on the system. So I don't get nearly all of the zucchinis on time, and the owner's just a little bit busy with some other work at this point. So he's not able to get in here and pollinate these zucchinis, which is a bit of a shame. As you can see, there's probably a good 20 or more zucchinis in there that didn't get pollinated, which could have happened off of this one plant. And it is huge. And it just keeps going. 3 or 4 months old, I think. And then we have here, this was a bed that was actually attacked. This was all radishes and parsnips before. And it got destroyed by the aphids. The aphids loved this bed for some reason, and I think it was because because this system wasn't perfectly balanced. As you can see, it's actually high in salts. That's what all of this is on here. This isn't mold or anything like that. Those are salts. This system ended up high on salts, and then therefore weakening the radish plants, making them more of a target for aphids. This is a tomato that we put in a little while ago. We're going to stretch this one out to the rafters soon also. And then down here we have kale, parsley, basil. That basil plant also not doing great because it's part of the same system, which has a salt problem, a high EC problem, which we are balancing out at the moment. It's just, this is the problem, the result of too high of an EC. So the new stuff that's coming out is going to look good. The old stuff, this is the old stuff, and that's unfortunately what's happened. We are working on that issue at the moment, but we don't want to do some things too quickly in an aquaponic system. And if we come over here, this is another one where it was planted at the same time as the last one with the radishes, but this system had a better balance of EC. It also ended up a little bit too high, so you can see the salts, but it did do better because it wasn't as bad. And as you can see, there's actually some radishes that are ready to be, we're close to ready to being picked. And then here's another sacrificial pepper plant. This is the age that they got picked on a lot, but this one actually managed to recover. And again, as you can see, there are new leaves that have a tiny bit of aphid eggs on them, but nothing bad enough to actually end up destroying the plant. So we may just leave this one. Whereas the last pepper plant that I showed you, I'm actually going to pull it out today. And here's more garlic, a tomato plant which we're going to stretch up. A tomato plant which is already stretched up toward the rafter. Cucumber plant which needs to be taken out, it just didn't do well. This strain of cucumbers was not doing nearly as well in here in this system as the last strain of cucumber plants. So I think we're actually going to do a combination of both. And then here's another pepper plant or a tomato plant stretched up to the ceiling. And then this is a pepper plant that's actually over a year old and put out thousands of jalapenos, but now looks like it's close to be ready to be taken out. And then another pepper plant that is definitely being ready to be taken out. I will take that out as well. And then here's some kale to replace the other pepper plants that got taken out. Kale's obviously doing very well. And then there's this bed, mixed garden. There's some parsley, mint, lettuce, cauliflower, and another garlic, different strains of garlic. And as you can see, a cucumber plant, which is doing, actually, this one's doing better, but this strain seems to be hit or miss in this system. But still, it gives us some decent cucumbers, which I actually do need to pollinate as well. Yeah. So that's just a quick rundown of the greenhouse. There's been many things that happened over the last year. I can't think of anything else to share with you at the moment, but the main thing, like I said, was the aphids. So I hope that video was helpful or useful for you guys. If you have any questions or concerns or anything like that about anything, feel free to ask. I will keep you posted, hopefully better over the next year than I did the last. Have a good one.